Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sandra Lanch podcast. Today, we read chapters 37 and 38 of, I almost said Words of Radiance, of Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. That is book 3 of the Stormlight Archive, not book 2. In these chapters, we get another Bridge 4 perspective. We get what I think is a very interesting rock chapter, which I kind of gave you guys was coming up. And then we get another look at one of Dalinar's visions. This one going into some detail, and one that I don't think if we'd seen it before, we hadn't seen much of it. So, but I'm Data, and with me this week is
Jack
and Jamie.
Yeah, we lost Joe again this week. He had some last minute family business come up and could not avoid it. So back to just the three of us. But he came back a week early, so maybe I guess it evens out that way. Let's do this thing. Hang on to something, everybody. The Sandra Lanch is about to begin.
Yearnings intertwined, the golden age in ashes once again. Under stirring stars, in the burning shards, kindle fragments of the falling rain. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn.
So yeah, we did just 2 chapters this week, but a pretty good chunk of text, more than, I think that this may be the biggest section we've read of the book so far, and in just 2 chapters. So a lot of stuff. What did you guys think of these 2 chapters?
Well, I'm going to be up front. This was far and away my favorite section of the book so far that we've read. It's like these chapters were tailored to exactly what I wanted at this particular moment. We got some nice character spotlight on Rock, like how seeing the Spren chatting with Syl, which was really cool. We met his family, which, holy shit, that's a big thing. The only thing bigger than that was admitting that one of these Lowlanders is actually onto something with his cooking and the drink that he made. So that was something. We got conversation with Renarin away from his dad and his brother. And that gave us
that's true.
Like a lot of insight into him and what he can do as a surge binder, what he wants out of life. I feel like this is way more information on Renarin than anything we've ever gotten before. We got Yasna having a conversation with Dalinar. Again, I think we've really glazed over how everyone reacted to her return, but yeah, at least we got a really nice conversation between them, a really human conversation where they discuss their feelings among equals without fear of judgment. That was really cool. We got Stormfather giving us information, and lots of it. I mean, he was pretty pissy about it, but it's kind of like the bar for young Dalinar was so low that it's like, oh, thank God he didn't kill a child. In the same way, it's like, Stormfather might be really shitty about giving information, but he's actually giving us information, so it's a step up. I'll take what I can get. And yeah, we finally touched back on the prelude to Way of Kings with the giant rock monsters, the heralds ditching their duty, town, and we just got a really big heaping of relevant lore that wasn't just drip fed to us in cryptic conversations. We actually got a lot of info here, which was great. I feel like, all right, we're in the 3rd book. You can start giving us the info now. So I was really happy with that. Yeah, these chapters fucking ruled. The only thing that could have made them better is if someone had answered the question of where the fuck is Teft.
Yeah, they did leave us that little mystery, huh?
Yeah, of all people to be missing, Teft?
Yeah.
On a duty day?
Yeah. And it's when we get into it, but it's everyone seems to know, or at least have an idea, and there's like, oh, you know where Teft is. And we're like, well, we don't.
Yeah. Stop dancing.
Brandon can't give you all of this lore without introducing new questions. That would be outrageous. But yeah, there's a lot of conversation happening in these chapters. And yeah, really, there's not much in the way of action-y stuff. There's a little bit. But it is really a bunch of people talking to other people or to a Spren or whatever. But a lot of these, like you said, are conversations that we've wanted for a long time. So it's actually really nice. I agree. Some good stuff in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and until you said it, I was like, I hadn't really thought about it, but it may be the first time that we've gotten this much about Renarin.
This is, I swear, this is the first conversation that he has had that has not been with Adolin, Dalinar, or having them in the room.
Yeah. I mean, the only other person I could think of is the time that he approached Kaladin and was like, hey, can I join up and be part of Bridge 4? And even that is it's like an authority thing where he's like, I want to serve under you, Kaladin. So it's not like a equals talking.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, and it's funny because he's like third in line for the Colin princedom and potentially like fifth in line for like ruling the entire kingdom or something. So it seems weird to be like, yeah, here's where he finally talks to some equals, but it kind of is.
Yeah. He's just been kept, away from all those sort of things. He hasn't had any real equals until now.
Yep. In Bridge 4, anyone is allowed to be equal.
Yep.
Maybe because we started out at that low. Like, we were so low that there could not be anyone lower, so it's all good. But yeah, this is, there's fun conversations here, and it's not like the plot kickstarted in any big way, but it does feel like refreshing and like we're learning and doing things.
It just feels like having been in the dark for so long to finally get a lot of this information that we wanted for so long all at once is just like a holy shit, I didn't think it would happen.
Yeah, I mean, and like you mentioned, the lore dumps in the second chapter. It's like, oh wow, you're hitting us with a lot of stuff that we've been wondering about. This is great. Okay, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I also like these chapters probably for most of the reasons Dak just touched on, so I won't go into it too much detail, but I really loved the Rock perspective. I did decide at the beginning I was going to do a count of how many times, because I listened to these chapters as well, but how many times I heard Lowlander or Airsick Lowlander, and then I was like, nah, I'm gonna miss some. I'm gonna not do that. But I did have to have a little giggle every time I heard it because it did come up fairly frequently. That conversation with Renarin was fantastic. And I kept thinking, like, where is Shallan right now? Doesn't seem so creepy when he's having a conversation, does he? Like, just
Right?
give the guy a break, He's going through some stuff. And, especially when he's like, oh, Shallan's tried to explain it to me 7 times. And I was like, yeah, but she doesn't rate you very highly. She's not going to be explaining it very well. It's really unfortunate because you seem like a good guy and you want to do what you want to do, not because someone else wants you to do it, but also you kind of want to live up to people's expectations of you. And it's a really difficult position for him to be in. And there's a lot going on. And I really feel for him. But to just have a conversation as he did with Rock and let quite clearly they have these sorts of conversations. Like they are used to talking to each other. Rock is just like the guy that everyone's used to coming and seeing, and it's like in stories where you've got the barkeep. The barkeep knows everything. I feel like Rock is that person in Bridge 4. He's just like, I've got the ability to chat to anyone in Bridge 4. I can talk to Kaladin. I can talk to higher ups. Like, you can just talk to anybody. It's fine. And he just knows everything. So I really enjoyed his perspective. I loved seeing as things were happening and then his little, what he thought about that person on top of it. I just thought it was really fun to be in his head. It's exactly what I wanted from a Rock perspective. And to be reunited with his family as well, I thought was really beautiful. I'm glad we got to see that from his perspective, not as an outsider there. How he felt about the bridge, like the actual bridge as well, I thought was, after everything they've been through, to look at it like that, I thought was so nice. Because it would be very easy to be like, I'm never carrying that bridge again. I'm never touching that bridge again. But how what it did for them and how it changed them and stuff, I thought that was really, really cool as well. Really nice also for someone else to have a conversation with Phil. I really enjoyed that. In the next chapter, being in the vision, it was really nice to have all that stitched together. I don't think I realized that's where it was going until really Stormfather was telling us what he knew, which I also wasn't expecting Stormfather to actually tell us on page what he knew. When I think it was the words, it's like, are you ready for what I'm about to tell you? You might not like it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, great, we're going to cut off here. This is going to be the biggest cliffhanger. Data, I'm so and then I looked at it, I was like, oh, there's still 10 minutes of listening to go. Stormfather might actually tell us something. And then he did. And I was pretty excited about that. I'm a big fan of characters having conversations.
Yeah.
I realize that there's a reason for them to not sometimes, but how nice it is that information gets passed on.
Yeah. What if it had been just like 10 minutes of discussing whether or not to tell him the secret? That would have been bad.
It would not have been great, no. But I think Brandon knows better than to do that. So there's a certain amount of arguing with Stormfather that happens, but I think we've gotten to a point now where Stormfather's just going, "You're going to boss me around? You're going to give me some orders again? We've talked about this. I don't like it. I'll do it, but I don't like it." Yeah. I think it was good to have, Navani in there and the comment that she's bullying people into showing her things. I thought that was pretty fun. But Yasna having that conversation with Dalinar was really nice. It just felt like a really down to earth, like Dak said, no judgments conversation. I thought that was a really nice moment. And obviously Dalinar did too. He was feeling quite emotional about it afterwards. So yeah, there was lots of good things in here.
Yeah, I guess this is the first conversation we've ever seen between Yasna and Dalinar, so maybe this is just how they always are. But we saw him in the first book being like, man, I really wish Yasna was here. Yasna's like someone I can trust and who's smart and would be able to help with this. But other than like span read conversations, which I don't really count as being quite the same thing, yeah, I think this is the first time. So it's an interesting relationship for sure, and I like how it plays out here. And speaking of conversations, also you might like Syl having a conversation with someone other than Kaladin. It is funny how little we see of that, because I guess she's kind of attached to, not physically, but kind of like she goes where Kaladin goes, so she doesn't get as much opportunity to have conversations with random other people. But Rock gets to be an exception, and it is kind of cool to see.
Yeah, and I mean he can see her too, which is abnormal, I think, for most people. So yeah, that was nice. I'm glad that they got that conversation, and I don't know if it was really clear. Is it the first time they've had a conversation?
I feel like he's talked to her in Kaladin's presence before, but I think we've seen more of like the bowing and like, oh, whatever you said must be really important because you said it because you're a little god or whatever. So I don't know that we've ever seen a conversation that just was this much conversation-y. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here for it. It was
totally. And we know Syl can appear to whoever she wants. Rock can just see her all the time and sees all Spren, apparently. So it's like she could do more of that if she wanted. She just doesn't seem to want to most of the time.
Doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Which I wish I could do that, just not have to have conversations with people if I didn't feel like it.
Man, if I could hide at my desk when I'm at work and not have to have a conversation with people sometimes, that would be amazing.
That is the dream.
That is the thing.
Syl's out here living the dream. Yep.
Your emails will never find me, well or otherwise.
Emails I don't mind. I just don't need people stopping by to chat about what I'm trying to work.
Yeah, it's the unplanned chats that are fun. Yeah. Having said that, I don't mind talking to people. I do quite like talking to people. There are just sometimes where you're like, I could really use half an hour of just not being here.
Jamie sounds more outgoing than me. I don't want to talk to people most of the time. It's fine. Some people are the exception to that, but mostly, yeah.
Mostly no.
But okay, let's move into these chapters. Yeah. Okay, so the chapter 37 was the last time we march, and we've got more of this letter. Yeah, I gotta tell you, the epigraphs, of all the different epigraphs we've had in these 3 books so far, I think the letters tend to be some of my favorites, so I find these to be pretty fun. This one says, "You mustn't worry yourself about race. It is a pity about Aona and Sky, but they were foolish, violating our pact from the very beginning." So do we remember who Aona and Sky are?
Devotion and Dominion.
Yeah, there you go.
Hence Aeons and Skazes and what have you.
Yep, good man. So apparently they violated our pact from the very beginning. All right.
So the rest of the spread was just like, man, Elantris sucked.
Maybe, I don't.
I'm not the rest of the spread, the rest of the shards. That's right.
The shards. Yeah, I knew what you meant. I was there with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I want more information about what that means. But I guess we move forward for now. So Numuhuku Makiyaki Ayalunamore. It's Rock's perspective, so we get his actual name. But he himself shortens it in his perspective here to just Lunamore. And he's like, yeah, my friends call me Rock because their thick lowlander tongues are incapable of proper speech. But I mean, they could have said Lunamore if you're like, hey, my name is Lunamore. Like, I feel like they could have pulled that out.
Yeah. That's what you're going to call yourself.
But he's out here making stew because, of course, he is. That's what he does. He brought his cauldron all the way out to the Shattered Plains, and as we saw the last time we saw Bridge 4, they're getting ready to go out and practice magic powers, right? So he's out here with them. Not that he's going to get involved in all that business. He's not fighting or anything, but while they're doing that, he'll make some lunch. And we get probably some more details about his homeland than we have before because he's, remembering it himself, but he's just like, oh, everything's like so flat and barren out here. His homeland was a place of extremes: bitter ice, powdery snow, boiling heat, and blessed humidity. So yeah, it's interesting. Just sounds like an interesting place, all right. Everything down here is so moderate.
I just wonder how badly they get affected by the storms.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we know like Urithiru is so high up that it doesn't really get hit. So clearly the peaks are high up. We don't know if they're that high up.
Cosmere geography nerds. Please discuss.
Yeah, does anyone want to send us the topographical map so we can see exactly how high, labeled, please, with the different peaks?
Yeah,
I have been
wondering actually. Is like, I'm sure this has probably happened at some point. Have any Cosmere fans gone into Minecraft and tried to recreate Urithiru or Elantris or something in Minecraft?
I feel like I may have seen that actually. Hold on.
I think it's very niche.
Yes, there are several. When I Google Urithiru Minecraft, there are several clearly different attempts to build it. That's actually kind of cool.
Nice. Neat. Nice. What the fuck am I saying? I'm going on mute now.
I'm gonna show you guys the one of these that I think I like best, but there's several pretty cool ones. Although this one is a little bit weird because it's like got this very cool tower right there, and then if you look off to the left, there seems to be just like a little hut on another mountain peak. And I'm like, well, all right, random.
That's a big ass hut.
Yeah, it would be a big hut. Either that or the tower's not as big as I think it is.
It's cool though.
Okay, but now I want to know if they've done Elantris as well. That's
Elantris, possibly like Luthadel might be the next best one because it had plenty of maps to actually show the city layout.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'm not seeing actually. I see somebody's like, I built an Aeon in Minecraft, and there's some Elantris cool. Like skins that people have made, but I don't see anybody having built like Elantris. Okay, one more. Luthadel. There's a couple of like Krennic Shaw attempts and just some Final Empire-ish stuff, but not like a whole ass city. But interesting. Some of this is pretty cool.
Neat.
Anyway, back on the other thing. I've been playing some Minecraft recently with the kids, and so when you said that, I'm like, yeah, let's go look at that, because I've been building random things. I do not have the dedication for that kind of thing, but, he's cooking the stew, takes a taste of it. He spent all night shelling some crab fingers for, finger crabs. Not the fingers of crabs, but finger crabs. I guess that's a kind of crab. And so he's going to have real meat in the stew here.
I was going to say, what the fuck are crab fingers? Like, that's not right biologically.
No, not like, at all.
Well, I guess real world, we have fish fingers, so...
That's true. I mean, I don't think we called them that in the US, but...
Oh, no, we went to the aquarium the other day, and there was a lobster that was particularly active, and I just keep thinking about how creepy that was when I heard crab fingers.
Yeah. You showed me the video. I thought it was an angry lobster.
It was an angry lobster.
So we get Kaladin's speech to the people. It's like, I trained a bunch of you in the chasms because we've got not only Bridge 4, but some other bridge crews and a couple of soldiers that Dalinar was like, hey, why don't you take them out and see how it goes? Including 5 scout women, which Rock thinks is very surprising. But yeah, who am I to judge? So I guess Lynn brought some friends? I don't know.
Secret bad guy. Secret bad guy.
We had to have a secret bad guy creation. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
I like it. We missed the secret bad guy with Taravangian all the way back in book 1, so we need to hit one.
Yep.
I like his thing here is I could train people on the spear because I had been trained on the spear. I knew how training that worked. But I don't know how to do. I barely understand what I'm doing right now, so we're all going to figure this out together. And of course, Lopin's like, it's all good, Goncho. How hard can it be to learn how to fly? Sky Eels do it all the time, and they're ugly and stupid. Most bridgemen are only one of those things. Thanks, Lopin. Very helpful.
Good chat.
And he tells them the first step is to speak the ideal. I suspect a few of you have already said it, but if you want to be a squire, you have to swear the first ideal. And everyone knows it. I don't know how these words get around so that everyone is aware, but everyone is aware, and including Rock, who like whispers it while he's over here cooking. And so once we've done that, the real test is drawing in Stormlight. And so those of us who have already done that, we're going to help everybody else learn how. Lopin, you take these people. Sigzil, you take those people. Pete, don't think I haven't seen you glowing. You go over there. And Teft, you take the scouts. Wait, where's Teft? And Rock's like, ugh, this guy gets so distracted sometimes. Maybe it's air sickness, you know? Teft did not come back to the barracks last night, sir, Leighton says. And Callan's like, okay, fine, I'll help the scouts. And so they all split up into groups, and they're going to try sucking in Stormlight from all these gems they brought along. Let's see. David is here, still helping cook. He hasn't talked since all the way back in book 1 when they pulled him out of the battle. But he's still Bridge 4. He can help cook, help carry things. Rock says he's kind of the unofficial mascot of the team. The first bridgeman Kaladin had ever saved.
Wow, no pressure.
Yeah. And one of Lopin's cousins, Huio, actually requests to be on kitchen duty. And he's stirring this drink that had been chilled overnight. And then he adds some stuff to it, and Rocket's like, what are you doing, crazy man? You can't put this spicy powder in a drink, airsick lowlander. And Huio is the one who doesn't speak real good Alethi, so he says something in Herdazian, and Rock's like, I do not speak this crazy language you use. Lopin, come here. Talks to this cousin you have.
Just imagine he says something in Herdazian. You what, mate?
Yeah, right. And Lopin, however, is too busy telling everyone how he stuck himself to the ceiling earlier, so he can't help. But then Rock tries the drink, and it's actually a really good combination of flavors. And Huey's like, yeah, Bridge 4. He knows those words, so. You are a lucky man. I will not kill you today. And then we have Hobber, who's also an assistant chef because his legs haven't worked since the attack by Seth. Unfortunately, he's still not real good at cooking, but Rock's like, hey, he can follow instructions. I'll use him. Also, it's an advantage to have an assistant chef who cannot walk away. He stays where you put him, which
Or Hobber.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little messed up, but and then we cut back to Lopin, who's supposed to be teaching them how to draw in Stormlight, and he says, watch me now carefully. All right, here it is. I, the Lopin, will now fly. You may applaud as you feel is appropriate. And then he jumps up and falls back down, and Callan's like, dude, stop showing off. Help the others. But he somehow managed to stick himself to the ground instead of flying. Just part of the plan, gone. If I am to become a delicate cloud upon the sky, I must first convince the ground that I am not abandoning her.
Oh, so
Okay.
listening to Lopin doing this whole bit about not leaving the ground and coming back to that sort of a couple of times over the next few minutes of chapter. Man, his Wayne was showing.
Yeah, I can see that.
I got to a point I was so annoyed by him. I was so annoyed. I was like, I don't want to read about the Lopin anymore. He's just doing my head in.
Small doses of the Lopin is maybe preferable. Is that what we're going for?
I normally don't like. It's yeah. Okay, small doses. Sometimes I find him funny, but it just kept going, and I was like, oh god, shut up.
Yeah, it's like, stop trying.
I could definitely see that. Yep. And someone has to remind. It's like, you're not a king, Lopin. He said, we've been over this. Of course, I'm not. I am a former king. You are obviously one of the stupid ones I mentioned earlier. So Lopin thinks he's a king somehow. Maybe it just fits in with all the other weird Lopin stuff.
So yeah, not really sure how we got there, unless he's just very much like, oh well, now I have radiant powers. Sometimes I must be royalty. I don't know. I don't know how he got there. Or jokes on us. Turns out he really was a king somewhere, which is also possible.
He was the king of Herdaz and got deposed.
See, that possibility had absolutely occurred to me, seeing several times. I'm pretty sure before now, and maybe I don't know for sure before now. This will not be the last time he talks about being royalty or former royalty, and I was just like, is it supposed to be a joke? And then Brandon's going to reveal that he was secretly like the king of Herdaz and got overthrown in a coup or something. Like, how insane would that be?
I
I
mean,
feel like stranger things have happened in these books.
True.
didn't didn't they make the point earlier? It's like anytime the Alethis march to war, they kick the crap out of her as first and foremost. So maybe King Lopen was just one of the casualties in another one of those.
Interesting possibility, but I say that because I was going to let you know that more recently there's been an explanation of what it all means, because one of the 3 stories that came out of the last con on the back of these cards is called King Lopen the First of Alethkar. And so,
oh my Christ,
when we finally are able to get around to those cards, that story will explain what the hell he's talking about. So,
Okay.
I could have left y'all wondering for a long time, like everyone else, about like why the heck, but it feels good to finally have the information, so I thought I could share it with you guys.
of Alethkar. Sure, whatever. Okay.
Oh man, but yeah. So moving forward, and then Rock looks over to where Hobber's supposed to be peeling tubers, and he sees, well, why's Kaladin like kneeling down over there? And Kaladin is trying to explain to Hobber how to draw in the light. And Hobber's like, I don't know if I mean, I'm not a Radiant. I'm never that good with a spear. I'm barely a passable cook. And Rock's thinking like, yeah, passable's being a little generous, but he's earnest and helpful. So Lunamore was happy to have him. And Kaladin's like, hey, just try. Being Radiant's not about your strength or your skill. It's about your heart. And yours is the best of all of us. We don't know Hobber that well, but that's pretty cool. Like the little conversation they have. And Rock's like, hey, you really think Hobber can do this thing? And Kaladin's like, I'm sure he can. I'm sure all of Bridge 4 can. Maybe some of these others. I was like, I don't know about them. Maybe. And then, as if to confirm what everyone else thinks about the whole airsick lowlander thing, Rock has to show off this new drink to Kaladin, or the new recipe for this drink. And he's like, yeah, it was Huio's idea. I may have to promote him or push him off the plateau. Promote him to what? To airsick lowlander, 2nd class. And Kaladin, to quote, to just speak for everyone, is like, you seem to use that term a lot, Rock. And Rock says, yeah, I'm fond of this term, but only because the thing has an astounding number of applications among you. So he's just like, yep, get over it.
Did have a little giggle at that line. That was good.
And meanwhile, Lopen is still trying to explain to the ground how it's okay. The Lopen is vast enough to be possessed by many forces, both terrestrial and celestial.
The Lopen's going to get a smack soon.
And Kaladin's like, no, this is going to work. Once all the men can do this, then they'll be able to heal, and I won't have to worry about like losing you guys. And Rock's like, I mean, dude, this is a war that has started. Like, people are going to die. And Kaladin's like, no, Bridge 4 will be protected by their power. He's like, and the enemy, they're not going to have power? Like, nobody can be perfectly safe. They talk again about Horn-Eater children. Only the 4th son and younger can be wasted in war. 1st, 2nd, 3rd sons, far too valuable for such a thing. And Kaladin's like, oh, so like you hardly have any soldiers if it's only 4th son and younger. And he's like, no, you don't know the size of Horn-Eater families.
That's terrifying.
Well, they're big families, you know? What are you going to do? But also, war is different on the peaks because, I mean, getting from one peak to another to attack is like hard and requires a lot of preparation and time. So you talk about going to war way more often than you actually do. And Kaladin's like, well, that sounds nice. And he's like, yeah, you're going to visit me someday. All of Bridge 4. You're all family now. And then we see Lopen again. It's like, I'll still love you, Ground. I'm not attracted to anyone the way I am to you. And Rock is like, maybe with a little less air, he will be less. And Kaladin goes, Lopen? Yeah. And then he's like, though upon consideration, this thing would be sad. It would be sad if Lopen was less Lopen.
Maybe.
If he's away from too much air, so Rock's saying we need to drown him?
No, there's just too much air down here. Everyone gets airsick. That explains Lopen. I mean, he's just...
Yeah, well, yeah, and you know where there's less air? Underwater.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And then Kaladin makes a little guess where he's like, what happened to your brother, Rock? And Rock's like, well, my 2 brothers are well, as far as I know. No, but what about the 3rd one? The one who died, moving you from 4th up to 3rd and making you a cook instead of a soldier. Don't deny it. And Rock doesn't deny it. He's like, it's a sad story. And today is not a day for sad stories. It's for laughter and stew and flight. And then he thinks to himself, and hopefully for something even grander. I mean, he hints a few times through the early part of this chapter that he's looking for something out here. But we don't find out what for a little while. And Kaladin's like, hey, but if you ever need to talk, I'm here, man. And Rock's like, well, that's good, but I think someone else wants to talk to you. And sure enough, there's a dude with a crown coming. The king wants to talk to you. Kept asking us when you were coming back, as if we were appointment keepers for our glorious flying leader. And we have a brief conversation with the king, where the king's like, so how soon are your guys going to be ready? And Callan's like, I mean, it's hard to say how long it'll take them to master these powers. Callan has no idea if he can expect them to take way less time than he did, way more time. Like, he only has himself to go by, and he was kind of resisting using these powers for a while, even once he discovered them. So, and Elhokar's like, okay, do you think about my request? Will you fly me to Kholinar so we can reclaim the city? And Callan is like, I'll do as my commander tells me, which is really non-committal. He's like, if Dalinar says so, I'll go. And Elhokar's like, no, I'm asking you personally. Will you come and help me? And Callan's like, yeah, okay.
But, like, that's a nice touch. It's like,
Yeah.
Elhokar's not just trying to be, I'm the king, so you'll do as your commander. He's like, no, I'm asking you. Will you help me with this thing? God damn it, Elhokar's trying.
He is, right? And it's funny, because like that's exactly what Kaladin says at the end of the last book. He's like, you may screw up all the damn time, but you're trying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know that Elhokar could have brought himself down to this level to like say it like that before. So he's making progress. It's kind of nice to see.
Yeah.
And so he says, I want to give my time, I want to give my men time to train up. Maybe we can take a few people with us, and maybe I can leave a full Radiant behind to lead if something happens to me. But yeah, I'll go with you. And then it turns out Dalinar wants to try contacting people in Kholinar using his visions, which that's a neat idea.
But also, it's like, how frequent are the storms coming if he's like, 20 days? Like, okay, there's another one coming again? It wasn't that long since the last one.
Yeah, I think the last time we looked, it was like, it says every few days they happen, but that's not really super specific. We've never gotten a real specific timetable, but that's because they're not completely regular.
They're not regular, yeah.
But yeah, that's yeah, if you can't use the span reads, maybe that's another way to get around it and talk to someone. I don't know who he would contact necessarily, but it's not a bad idea. Callan goes back to training, and the king apparently sits down to watch a bit, and he stops or Rock stops when he gets to the bridge they used to get over here. It was their old bridge.
Hang on. We skipped something that Brandon also skipped. It's like Rock brought Elhokar something to drink. I'm like, oh, what was Elhokar's reaction to the what's it called? The stuff you put the spice in.
Yeah, what was that called? It's
Man, we don't get Elhokar's reaction to that. That's not fair.
I think everyone seems to like it, so I'm assuming Elhokar's probably on board.
I know, but I also wanted to see if did Elhokar bite his tongue? He's like, fuck, that's spicy.
Oh no, all men's food is spicy.
Oh yeah,
that's like the whole thing. So I suspect that would not be an issue. You might not expect it from a drink. That's fair, but I don't think that they probably have a problem with spice levels.
Yeah, true.
What is that drink called? They've said it several times, and now I have to find it because it's going to bug me.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Shiki.
Ah, there you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. And the stuff he puts in it was Lasbo. Okay, I was like, yeah, there's Shiki with Lasbo in it. Top drink, tippy top. So Elhokar came across on their old bridge. They managed to salvage it. They found it wedged in a chasm a little bit away, and they needed bridges until they could reconstruct the permanent ones around here that had been destroyed when the two storms collided. Dalinar, at Teft's request, had this bridge hauled back up. And actually, considering everything it's been through, it's in pretty good shape. So they put the meat in the stew, and he tells Huio, do not change any spices without asking first, okay? Okay. And then Rock goes to make the bread. And we get a moment where he remembers working with his mom, making bread, and he thinks he hadn't become a cook, like Kaladin said. He'd always been one. Since he could toddle up to the step stool at the counter and stick his fingers in the sticky dough. So yes, he trained with a bow, but soldiers needed to eat, and Nuatoma guards each did several jobs. Even guards with his particular heritage and blessings. I assume the blessings is about seeing Spren? I don't know the heritage necessarily.
Questions for later.
Yeah. And then Renarin shows up. He's finished his transferring of people with the Oathgate, and now he's going to come and do a shift with Bridge 4, I guess. And he starts to step over towards where Elhokar is, And he doesn't seem real certain. I mean, Elkar's his cousin, and he's like, am I just here as like a watching person also now? And then Rock's like, hey, Renarin. And instantly he comes over. He's like, hey, I could use some help with this bread. And Renarin smiles, and Rock thinks like, all this kid wants is to be treated like everybody else. And so I can do that. He would have the High Prince himself kneading dough if he could get away with it. Dalinar seemed like he could use a good session of making bread. I'd like to see that.
100%.
I could totally run courses out of Urithiru. Just teach everyone how to make bread. That'd be hilarious.
I would take that class.
Yeah, me too.
Man, now I want some bread. Okay. I'm going to make some bread tomorrow. Some people you wanted to press, draw them out, and others you wanted to let them move at their own pace, like the difference between a stew brought to a boil and kept at a simmer. So he doesn't press Renarin. Like this is one of those people you got to let come at his own pace. But where is his god? Rock can see all spread, and Renarin is bonded to one, but Rock has never been able to spot it. He bowed when Renarin wasn't looking, just in case.
A little bit troubling, isn't it?
I mean, maybe, yeah.
Something to keep in the back pocket.
Yeah, right. There's something going on, or maybe not. Maybe Renarin Spren's just shy. That could happen. Renarin's kind of a shy guy. That would work. That would fit. Renarin says Bridge 4's doing well. He'll have him drinking up Stormlight soon enough. And Rock's like, yeah, probably, but they'll have time catching up with you. Truth Watcher is a good name. More people should watch truth instead of lies. I don't know what it means to watch lies exactly. Well, in this context, I mean, modern day, yeah. I could probably say, but
ask Shallan. She's probably the
expert.
Yeah.
And Renar's just like, so I guess this means I can't be in Bridge 4 anymore, huh? And Rock's like, why? Well, because I'm a different order of Radiant. Surges of progression and illumination. So I'm not sure how to make the second one work. Shallan has explained it 7 times, but I can't create even the smallest illusion. It does seem like each order has... maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. It feels to me like each order has an easier power to get a hang of, and then a more difficult one that it's like, I'll figure that one out later. Like, I don't know if that's true for Kaladin. Well, he learned how to stick stuff to other stuff way before he learned how to, like, fly around and stuff. So maybe it is true. But, like, Shallan is really good with the illusions. The soul casting is apparently a whole other level. And so maybe it's just...
Well, isn't Kaladin's other thing the healing as well?
No. All orders can heal themselves with Stormlight.
Okay.
The one other order that has healing is Lift, the Edge Dancers.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I guess that was true for her too, because she could slide around real easily, and it wasn't until later when she advanced further that she learned the healing part. So maybe it's just... maybe it's like the different bending styles in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's like, for certain people, for certain avatars, there's going to be that one that's more difficult than the others because of their personalities.
Yeah, each order has their like primary thing, and then a secondary one which overlaps with someone else's primary or something. But we haven't seen 2 of the same order yet. So you're like, well, if you could see another, edge dancer, for example, would they both find the same discipline easy and the other one difficult? Or
that's a good question. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. I guess you're right. We haven't seen 2 of the same order yet. We've seen a bunch of individuals, and yeah. Oh, interesting. Anyway, sorry, got distracted. I don't even know if we know what Yasna's second power is at this point. I'm trying to think of the other orders that we've seen, but yeah. Okay.
Was hers like, because she can sort of slip into the cognitive realm?
Yeah, I think that was her main. Oh, her other one is.
Was it?
Her main one, I guess, was soul casting. I'd forgotten that was her thing. Yeah, you're right. And she was real good at the soul casting. So, yeah. And so Rock's like, I mean, healing, that'll be super useful in Bridge 4. And Renarin's like, but I can't be Bridge 4 anymore. And Rock's like, that's stupid. Bridge 4 is not Windrunners. Well, then what is it? And he says, it's us. It's me. It's them. It's you. Nodding to like David. Like, David will never hold a spear again. He's not going to fly, but he's still Bridge 4. I am forbidden to fight, but I'm Bridge 4. You may have fancy title and different powers, but I know Bridge 4, and you, Renarin Kholin, are Bridge 4. And Renarin says, Rock, don't you ever worry that you aren't the person everyone thinks you are? And Rock says, everyone thinks I'm loud, a loud, insufferable lout. So to be something else would not be a bad thing. And he says, do you really think that about yourself, Renarin? And he says, maybe. I don't know what I am most days, but I seem to be the only one. Everyone's like, oh, look how bright he is. He should be an Ardent. Everyone thinks it's so obvious. I have a mind for figures, right? So I have to be an Ardent. No one says I'm less of a man than my brother. No one points out that it sure would be nice for the succession if the sickly, strange younger brother were safely tucked away in a monastery.
It's sad that he feels that way.
Right?
That he feels that that's what other people think. Like, yeah, I feel really bad for him here.
I mean, we don't know what everybody thinks, but I think we probably know Dalinar and Adolin well enough by now to know that like those are not the kind of things they're thinking about Renarin.
Oh no, but like in his, there's a certain level of your perceptions, your reality, and if you think everyone thinks that about you, it's not holding a very good opinion of yourself, is it?
Right, exactly.
It's sad.
Yeah, and it is really sad that Renarin would think that. And I was just pointing out, it's like that he might be right about some people, like that could be true that some people would think that, but we know that the most important people in his life are not thinking that, even if he's like afraid that they are.
Exactly.
So that is very sad. And Rock's like, well, why do you want to be a guy who fights? And Renarin says, because it's what my father always wanted. He may not realize it, but it's there. And then Rock goes, perhaps this is stupid reason, but it is reason, and I can respect that. But why do you not want to be an Ardent or a Storm Warden or whatever? And Renarin's like, well, because that's what everyone assumes I will be. If I go and do it, I'm giving in to what they all say. And Rock's like, I think your problem is different than you say it is. You claim you're not the person everyone thinks you are, but I think really you're worried that maybe you are that person. But you can be you without this being bad thing. You can admit you act and think differently from your brother, but can learn to not see it as a flaw. It is just Renarin Kholin. And Renarin says that, he says, Gliss says, and the Gliss he's referred to before is his spren, well, it's complicated. I could talk to the Ardents, but I'm hesitant to do anything to make me stand out from the other bridgemen. I'm already the oddest one in this bunch. And Rock's like, what, really? You're the oddest one? I have to agree with Rock here. Like, I don't think
Lopen is still stuck to the ground.
Yeah. And I mean, he even calls it out. He's like, don't deny it, Rock. Lopen is, well, Lopen, and you're you, but I'm still the strange one. And then they look over, and there's Shen, who's just sitting on a rock, watching as everyone else has a good time, and laughs at Eth, who accidentally stuck a stone to his own hand. He wears war form now, but everyone just seems to have forgotten that he's there. And Renarin goes, oh, I don't know if he counts. And Rock's like, yeah, that's what everyone always tells him, over and over again. And then after a minute, Renarin like stands up and goes over to sit down with Verlaine.
That's nice.
Yeah, right?
Like let's see the Renarin and Verlaine buddy cop movie.
Well, to me, it's like one of the saddest moments is realizing that while everyone out here training to use Stormlight, like they're just leaving Verlaine sitting over on the sidelines. Like, I don't know if a Parchman can do that, but there's no reason that you can't involve him in like the thing.
Well, like, he's in war form. He had to use a spren to transform, right? Is the spren still there? Does that mean he's technically bonded with that spren? He can't bond with a
one we don't know. I think the spren that they use to transform does go inside of them while they're in that form, but I don't know because that was the situation with like the one in Eshonai, I think, after she turned into like a storm form. Man, I don't remember now.
Yeah,
but,
like he gets caught in the gem heart or something.
Yeah,
just like the way of a Fabrial.
Yeah, is that the same thing as like the Radiant Bond? We don't know.
I feel like it's more of they're captive rather than they're bonded, though.
Yeah.
And that's my point. It's like, maybe it wouldn't work at all. Maybe there's no way that he could do that. But we don't know. Does that mean that you shouldn't let him be involved?
They could at least try.
Yeah. But yeah, Renarin and Verlaine, you guys be friends. Let's, I'll watch that buddy cop movie too. And then Rock looks over and Huio has started harvesting the bread that that Rock and Renarin were putting down to cook. And Huio has already started glowing a little bit. He's figured out how to draw in Stormlight as well. And then they have their Ocean's 11 moment where he tries the bread and he goes, and Rock's like, more salt in the next batch? And Huio says nothing. You think we need more salt, don't you? Shrug. Okay, add more salt into the next batch. Don't look so self-satisfied. I may still throw you off the plateau.
I love that comparison. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a fun conversation. I like these two. This is like Huio barely says anything, and this is still a fun like byplay between them. We could use more of that too. It's just these Bridge 4 perspectives make you realize how little of the relationships among Bridge 4 we've seen outside of Kaladin, because Kaladin makes everything Kaladin-centric when he shows up, because the plot is always revolving around him. You don't see these little things so much. So he has a conversation with Leighton for a little bit. Leighton is still a little shook up about what they saw down within Urithiru. And Rox thinks, powerful god that had been, very vengeful. There were legends of such things in the peaks. Lunamore's great-great-great-grandfather had met with one while traveling the Third Divide. Whatever that means. Excellent and important story, which Lunamore did not share today. So thank you so much for telling us there's a great, very important story, but you're not going to tell us.
Stormfather.
Scar, the best spearman among them, now that Moash had left, was feeling very self-conscious because he hadn't drawn in light yet. And Rock's like, hey, show me like what you've learned so far. And Scar like gives him some instruction, and Rock actually manages to draw in some stormlight. And we get another man would have felt worse, but Scar was a teacher at heart, and he actually left feeling way better after this exchange.
I'm waiting for Rock to become a full shard bearer, and sort of like how Lift made Windle into a fork, like Rock is just going to use his shard as like this giant wooden spoon.
Yep, big spoon.
Yeah.
You can smack people in the kitchen when they do something wrong.
I mean, he's a pacifist. He's not going to do that. He threatens to throw Huey into a chasm, but we know he's not going to do it.
Well, he explained to us in detail at one point that there's a difference between fighting and using his boot to like kick some sense into you.
I forgot about that. That must be like a year ago or something.
Yeah, right. So long. Let's see. And then, everyone's taking a break, gotten some water or some of the shiki, and they're all big fans of the shiki today. They're like, hey, it's good stuff. Although they refused to try it last time, but last time he did not give them the cool drink on a super hot day like today, so it makes a difference. And then he looks over and he sees an assemblage of gods, strong gods, like Sylphrina, glowing a faint blue, clustered around a tall Spren woman with long hair streaming behind her. She's taken the shape of a human-sized person and wore an elegant gown. And Rock starts kind of like a little bit of like freaking out, like fanboying, like, oh my gosh. I gotta leave a gift, but it's gotta be something good. It can't just be like some bread or stew or something. That's not good enough for this. And then he hears Syl. She's like, you are so wonderfully respectful, it borders on being silly. And Rock's like, these are your kin? Is it the woman at their front, your Nuatoma? Ali Kamura? Whatever any of that means. And Syl's like, kinda, sorta, maybe? I can barely remember a voice. Her voice. Fendorana. Reprimanding me. I got in so much trouble for searching out Kaladin. And yet here they are. They won't speak to me. I think they assume if they do, they'll have to admit to me that they were wrong. And they hate being wrong. So that's interesting. We knew that she wasn't supposed to be doing what she did when she went and found Kaladin. The Stormfather clearly did not approve. But apparently the other Honor Spren were feeling the same way. But now they're out here like scouting some humans. But yeah, there's like 24 of these Spren out here, he says. And they're watching the guys training with Windrunner powers. So maybe this is the first step towards getting more. Also, no one else can see the Spren. And so he wonders what some of these guys think as he's like bowing and scraping and offering some bowls of spheres. And then after that, he looks over and he tries to get Hobber to do something, but Hobber is very intently working on trying to draw Stormlight. And Rock's just like, come on, do it. You can do it. And as he watches, the light in his Hobber's fist where he's holding the sphere goes out. And Rock's like, ha! And he calls everyone, guys, get over here. Give him your gemstones. He's going to need a lot. Oh no, Kaladin comes over and says this after Rock yells at everybody. Or Hobber yells. I don't know. There's a lot of yelling going on.
Much excitement.
Yeah. Hobber starts drinking all this light, and he goes, I can feel them again. I can feel my toes. and he manages to stand up. And Lopin gives the Bridge 4 salute, which it's kind of extra special because he has 2 arms now and he didn't before. And Kaladin's like, this is going to work, Rock. We're going to protect them. And that's when Rock notices a plume of smoke off in the distance where he's been looking all day. And we cut directly to Kaladin flying out there to check and everybody else running after with the bridge. And we also find out that I don't think we knew before. We knew that Rock's family member had shown up and challenged Sadeas to try to win his shards. And that he'd ended up dead and all of his family became Sadeas' property. But I think this is the first time we learned that, Kefha, the guy's name, Sadeas had just murdered him without a proper duel at all, and then killed many of Rock's family when they tried to resist. So, yeah, that's even worse than before.
God damn it. Sadeas is dead and he's still finding ways to just man, you suck.
Yeah, he just always sucks.
At least when Strathventure died, that was the end of it.
More or less, yeah. I mean, he had a lot of kids, but I think we'd already killed most of them by that time, too, so.
Yep.
And it turns out there's a caravan that has been attacked by the Voidbringers. And they're Dre's we should have guessed they'd start raiding the caravans. And Rock notices an Unkalaki arrow, a Horn-Eater arrow, and there's a big pile of furniture put together almost like a fortification, and somebody with red hair peeking out over the top. His family has arrived on the Shattered Plains. Which we kind of knew he had a family. We didn't have any details before, but now we get some. He's got his wife is here, 2 16-year-olds, and some younger kids than that, 6 in total. And he starts introducing them all. His wife is Song. We made snow forts as childs, and hers was always the best. I should have known to find her in a castle, even if it was made of old chairs. And I Lopin's over here wait, snow? How do you make forts out of snow? That's like frost, right? And Rock's airstick lowlander, shut up.
Damn it, Lopin. That was actually a really cute moment from Rock and you ruined it.
He's got the twins, the boy is Gift, the girl is Cord. He's been gone almost a year, and it's hard on him how much his kids have grown in the meantime, but what can you do? Next son is Rock, but not the same kind of Rock as me. Smaller Rock. Third son is Star. Second daughter is Kumatiki. It's a kind of shell that you don't have here. Last daughter is another Song. Beautiful Song. She was 4 and does not remember her father. Oh. Little Song is hiding behind her mom's legs. But it's all good. His family is here. With his first paid wages, he'd sent them a message, but it took a long time to get a message that high up, and months to cross all the way down from the peaks to Alethkar. And I guess actually you have to cross across all of Alethkar to get to the Shattered Plains, which is technically past that. But they've come a long way, and it's been a long time. And Renarin saved a bunch of people with his healing powers, so clearly a good thing to have in Bridge 4, as previously said. And his wife's what happened? Your note was so terse. Kefha is dead. And he's, what about Tifi and Sinakua? And he says, also dead. They raised weapons in vengeance. And she goes, then you... And he says, I am chef now. But I cook, Tuaka. Come, let's take the children to safety. So, yeah, clearly something there he doesn't want anyone to hear about. He says, I was a fool to ever let Kefha leave on this errand of stupidity. Shouldn't have left the peaks, damn it. And Kaladin, in the meantime, is yeah, you and your family can have my rooms, and I'll bunk with the men. I've been, lax in talking to Dalinar about getting rooms for men with families. This'll, give me impetus to get that done. And I love that he opens his mouth for a minute to object, and then Rocket's you know what, no. Sometimes the more honorable thing was to take the gift without complaint. And then they're going to carry the bridge one last time, Rock says. And Cal's what, one last time? It's yeah, we take to the skies, Stormblessed. We will walk no more in coming days. This is the end. But it's not sad. Come on. We marched not towards death this last time, but towards full stomachs and good songs. And that's the end of that chapter. So, kind of a real just positive chapter for the most part. We did add some more mystery in there, as you guys had previously pointed out, but there's some pretty cool stuff. It's a happy chapter.
There was some mention that, some shit's going down on the Horn-Eater Peaks.
Oh, yeah, I skipped that. But yeah, she's something weird's going on. She's going to tell him about it later. But yeah. Our second chapter was Broken People. And the epigraph here, your skills are admirable, but you are merely a man. You had your chance to be more and refused it. So there we go. It's like, Hoyd, you could have been more than a man, but you didn't want to, so shut up.
You didn't want shard powers, I guess?
I feel like that's the implication, right?
Mm.
I mean, seeing what it's done to where some of the others have ended up, maybe not the worst choice.
I mean, well, that was what he said in his first letter. It's like, Addy was a really good bloke. Then he got a hold of that shard, and like, look what happened to him.
Yeah, exactly. So we cut straight to a Dalinar vision. And this time his plan is to like create kind of a safe space and then bring other people in, so he's not dumping people into the middle of something terrible. And this is the middle of something terrible. Let's be clear. And it's like it's a bunch of like primitive weapons and a big bloody battle that he's trying to fight his way through. And not even against like the Voidbringers, not against like Parchment or anything. It's humans on the other side, which we were told when Kaladin supposedly wanted to join up. It's like, oh yeah, it's not unusual, or it's not unheard of. So even back then, I guess. And Dalinar takes on the fight. Ends up, he makes moves that would have been good if he had some trained support behind him, but he does not. And he ends up losing an arm. And the Stormfather's like, I mean, why don't you just heal yourself? You got Stormlight. And Dalinar goes, no, that would be cheating. And Stormfather's like, why in damnation would that be cheating? You made no oaths. What a great little conversation between them. He's like, just heal yourself. Come on. And Dalinar's like, I used to be able to shrug off things like this. Well, maybe not this bad, but and the Stormfather goes, you're old, which that's a little pot calling the kettle black. I feel like maybe, but Stormfather's not human either. So
yeah, Stormfather doesn't change as he keeps telling us.
Yeah.
So old means nothing to him.
True. And so we won't go into the details of the fight because it's really kind of pointless. But he ends up in a safe space. And then he looks around and he sees there's a bunch of dead people here. Like a bunch. And he's like, we win this war. Like, I've seen what happens. We're still fighting here, but overall, like, the battle is won. But this is messed up. He sees a creature join the wild men, a good head taller than the others, with fearsome carapace armor of black and red, its eyes glowing deep crimson. And he's like, yeah, I've seen this before. When he first saw this vision, he still thought these were just dreams. And he thought that was just like some nightmarish creature that his mind had created. But no, that's a Voidbringer. And a Shardbearer comes and basically saves the day, creates like handholds in a sheer cliff so that they can escape. And I love that someone's like, how are you going to climb down the rock? Guy, you got no arm. And Dalinar's like, yeah, I'll figure it out. It's fine. And Dalinar's like, Stormfather, was that a herald that I just saw? And Stormfather's like, no, that was just a stone ward. Of the two surges they possess, the one that changed the stone is not shared with your order. So his order shares one with the stone wards, but not that one. But once he's created like a safe spot where the fighting is not happening, he's like, okay, bring in Navani and Yasna. Look, I do have to say, knowing how little the Stormfather likes being ordered around, you could phrase these things as requests instead of orders. Like, could you please bring in Navani and Yasna? As opposed to, okay, bring him in. Maybe Dalinar's not one for politeness. I don't know. He does say, put them somewhere close to me, please. But that's still not really even phrasing it like a request. And I love how, like, liberating it is for him to, like, Fen was one thing, but now he's literally brought in two people that he knows that were like in the same room as him into his vision. He's like, I figured out that I wasn't going crazy by this time, but actually being able to share it with you in reality, like it's kind of a relief. And they look around, let's see, and like Yasna's like, hey, what's that woman doing over there? Like just instantly. And there's a Radiant, maybe she's not wearing armor, so it's hard to say. And she's using some sort of glowy thingy from her pouch. And he goes, oh yeah, that's like one of those devices that heals people. Regrowth, they call it. And Navani's like, oh shit, new Fabrial? I am in. And she immediately goes over there to try to like mess with that Radiant and get her to show her like how this thing works.
Doesn't even like talk about it. It's just like straight away, all right, I'm off.
Yeah. I just love how enthusiastic she is about these things. It's great. Yasna, on the other hand, is instantly evaluating everything. Like, I don't know of any place that in our time that fits this description. Based on those formations, maybe it's in the Stormlands. And they talk about the desolations a little bit. And she says, this confirms something that we've been told, but which I could never quite believe. The desolations are so terrible that they destroy learning and progress. Like, this is like the last desolation. she's like, you told me this comes at the end of the Desolations, right? And as Dak mentioned, and I didn't, this is the same moment-ish, around the same moment that we saw back in the prelude to the Stormlight Archive, where Kalak is picking his way across this very same battlefield. And so, in previous visions that happened earlier, in previous Desolations, there was iron and steel, but this is all copper and bronze and crudely made weapons. Like, they've literally regressed in their knowledge by centuries in some cases. And Yasna, like, compliments him. You've given the world a great gift. A man can be brave in facing down 100 enemies, but coming into these and recording these visions rather than hiding them, that was a whole different kind of bravery. And then she says, I'm worried about you, what the people are saying. And he's like, well, you mean my heresy? And she says, no, not that so much, but it's how you're dealing with the backlash from it. And he says, I don't deny God. I simply believe that the being we call the Almighty was never actually God. Like, he's still trying to justify his view on this. And she's like, well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense considering the accounts of your visions. I've now read all of them, by the way. And he's like, well, you must be happy about that. And she's like, I mean, I'm happy that you're on your own journey of discovery, but am I happy that you're forced to abandon something you held dear? Like, I don't care if people have other beliefs that work for them. I don't need company to be confident in what I believe in. Yasna may be, not the most sensitive person, but whenever she comes out and says stuff, I feel like you're always forced to be like, she is really logical in everything that she says. Like, that is her character, and I appreciate it. And he says, how do you deal with this, Yasna? The things that people say, the lies in their eye before they even speak. Or they'll tell me with utter sincerity that things I reportedly have said, even though I deny them. They refuse my own words against the rumors about me. And she says, I don't really have a good answer. Fighting makes you strong, but also callous, and I think I've learned too much of the latter and not enough of the former. But I can warn you of one thing. They'll try to define you by what you are not. Don't let them. Like, I'm all these things, but they want to categorize me by the one thing that I don't do or don't believe, and make that my whole identity. But anyway, we should probably have this conversation at a different time when we're not in the middle of, like, all this stuff that we can learn. I'm going to go and explore. And I love when he looks over, Navani has somehow, like, gotten the Radiant to, like, let her use the thingy, or to, like, look at it at least, which is great. You gotta love Navani's enthusiasm. But she makes her way back over, and he's like, how did you ever mother that one? Mostly without letting her realize she was being mothered.
My favorite line right before that was like, none would think Yasna emotionless if they'd witnessed that tearful reunion between mother and daughter. Yeah, sure, would have been nice to witness that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's a shame. Shame we could. There's no way we could possibly have witnessed it. Yeah. She says the Fabrial is wonderful. It's like a soul caster. And he goes, how so? In that I have no idea how it works. I think we've been wrong in the entire way we view ancient Fabrials, but I can't explain it yet. And so they go up. He's like, there's something that he wants to see again, now that he knows better questions to ask. And we find out, he says, it's been nearly half a year since this all started, hasn't it? So these 3 books have taken place over about 6 months. It's taken considerably longer for us to read them than the amount of time that has passed. Lots and lots of corpses. Yeah. And Downer says, so Stormfather, is what I told Yasna true? Like, this is a Harietium, the last desolation? And Stormfather says that's what it was called. And he goes, include Navani in your responses. It says Dalinar requested, but it wasn't a request, really. Again, you make demands of me. You should not do this.
The word please goes a long way there, Dalinar.
Yeah. Or just a sentence that has a question mark at the end, like, could you include Navani in your responses? But no, just like, do it. Do it. And he's like, this isn't what, like, the songs and paintings make this final battle look like. Men lie in their poetry. Surely you know this. He's like, but this just seems like any other battlefield. And he's like, yeah. And that rock behind you? And he turns around, and the giant, like, rock formations that he saw, oh no, that's like a giant rock monster corpse. So yeah, it's a little bit different from your normal battlefield. And so we thought, during these days, honor still lived. The Stormfather says, I was not yet fully myself, so my memory of this time is difficult to explain. But they make their way to a place where 9 blades are shoved into the ground. That is an image that we have seen before. So we are arriving after what we saw in the prelude where the last of the heralds leave their weapons behind and walk away. And Navani's like, holy shit, I recognize that one. One of the swords, that's the one that killed Gavilar. The weapon of the assassin in white. It's an honor blade. They all are. And Navani goes, this is the day the heralds made their ascension to the Tranquiline Halls. Yeah, only that's not what happened, is it? And Downer says, yeah, the stories are wrong, aren't they? We didn't defeat the enemy as the heralds claimed. They lied. And the Stormfather says, I blamed them for a long time for their lack of honor. It's difficult for me to look past oaths broken. I hated them. Now, the more I come to know men, the more I see honor in those poor creatures you name heralds. And he says, what really happened? Dalinar wants to know. And he says, are you ready for this story? There are parts that you're not going to like. It's like, I've already accepted that God is dead. What can be harder than that? So, okay. It started with the creatures you call the Voidbringers. Long before this day, there were many souls of creatures who had been slain, angry and terrible. They'd been given great power by the enemy called Odium. That was the start of the desolations. For when these died, they refused to pass on. And Dalinar goes, so that's what's happening now. When the Parshmen transform in the Everstorm, those things are the souls of their dead? They are the Spren of Parshmen long dead. They are their kings, their light eyes, their valiant soldiers. The process is not easy on them. Some of these Spren are merely forces, animalistic fragments of minds. Others are more awake. Each rebirth further injures them. So every time they come back, it makes them a little worse off. That sucks, I guess. They are reborn using the bodies of Parshmen to become the Fused. We saw a Fused earlier. And even before the Fused learned to command the Surges, men could not fight them. Humans could never win when the creatures they killed were reborn each time they were slain. And so the Oath Pact. 5 men, 5 women gave themselves up to steal away the Spren of the dead and in the place you call damnation. The heralds thought this would end the war forever, but they were wrong. While Spren and gods cannot break oaths, men can and will. The 10 heralds were sealed upon damnation, trapping the Voidbringers there. However, if any one of the 10 agreed to bend his oath and let Voidbringers pass, it opened the flood and they could all return. And that is a desolation. Not only that, but while they were trapped in damnation, the things that they were trapping there tortured them horribly. Once one broke, all 10 heralds returned to Roshar. They fought, but eventually, after the desolation, the heralds returned to damnation to seal the enemy again. Rinse and repeat for hundreds of years, thousands of years maybe. At first, the space between desolations was a long time, hundreds of years. By the end, they were coming fast. There was less than 1 year between the last 2 desolations.
Yeah, that's horrific. That's a lot for them to go through.
Yeah. I mean, it's very noble signing up to, keep the enemy locked up so that people can live, but you have to be tortured for hundreds of years to make that work. Yeah, that's pretty horrifying. I mean, it doesn't sound like any picnic for the other side either, when you're you can't die, you keep coming back, and when you get killed, you come back again, but you're slightly more messed up than you were before. I don't feel like there's any winners in this.
Oh no, it's awful any way you slice it. It's and we'll get there in a minute, but you sort of see the Stormfather's point when he's like, oh, I really didn't think very highly of them, but now the more I know about it, it's like, oh, well, actually, they really are of honor.
Yeah. Yeah, he says, the heralds were broken people, but I can start to forgive them. It makes sense to me now, as it never did before. The Fused, the souls of the dead from long ago, they loathe you. They are not rational. They have become permeated with his essence, the essence of pure hatred. They will see this world destroyed in order to destroy mankind. And yes, they have returned. And so he's like, okay, but wait. So if this wasn't really the end, this was just another desolation, then what changed? They left their swords behind. So after each desolation, the heralds, if they died in the fighting, they returned automatically to damnation. If they did not die, then they were supposed to go back willingly. But at the end of this battle, only one had died. And these 9 realized that each of them had at some point broken. Each of them had been responsible for the start of a desolation, except one. The one that had been sent back, the one that had died. the one who was not meant to have joined them in the first place, who was not a king or a scholar or a general. And Downer goes, Talenalot. And Stormfather says, the bearer of agonies, the one abandoned in damnation, left to withstand the tortures alone. And Devani's like, holy crap, how long has it been? Like more than 1,000 years, right? And Stormfather says 4,500 years. 4.5 millennia of torture. So, yeah, Talon's a badass. He's crazy now because he's been tortured nonstop for 4,500 years, but damn, dude.
Yeah, hats off to you.
Yeah, ultimate respect.
And Downer's like, holy crap, it's that crazy guy that we had. He really is a herald? Like, yeah, man. And last we saw, Amaram has him, so... And the Stormfather says he finally broke. He has joined the 9 who still live. In these millennia, none have ever died and returned to damnation. But it doesn't matter as it once did. I will say something that Brandon told us after this point. Whether the Stormfather is incorrect, unknowingly, or maybe specifically not telling the truth, I don't know what you can say. Talon never broke, is what Brandon has said. So, for whatever that's worth.
Then how did he get sent back? How is the desolation here?
That is an excellent question that I think Brandon gave us that little tidbit specifically to tease us with that additional complication that it adds.
Motherfuck.
I know, right?
Yeah, because after 4,500 years of torture, I wouldn't blame the guy for breaking.
No, right? Jeez. Well, especially since that was just the years that he spent alone. Before that, he was still being tortured, and other people were breaking all around him. And so, jeez, I would not blame the man for a moment. And we do get the shard blade thing brought up, where it's like, but wait, we had the blade, the crazy guy's blade. Shouldn't that have been his honor blade? And the Stormfather says, the one that was delivered to you is not his honor blade. I don't know what happened to the real one.
It's Hoyd, bitches.
Maybe. Downer realizes he has no idea what happened to the crazy guy when they left. Like, did they bring everybody from the monastery? He thinks maybe. And so Navani's like, oh, so is that the secret that caused the Radiants to rebel? Is that what sparked the Recreants? And the Stormfather's like, oh no, that's even worse, and I'm not going to tell you about that. Because you would abandon your oaths just like they did. And Downer's like, no, I wouldn't. And the Stormfather's like, how do you know? Would you swear on an unknown that you wouldn't? No, I'm not going to let it happen again. You know the important stuff. The rest doesn't matter. So, very interesting. We're keeping additional secrets, but we're not at all surprised by that, I would say. And Navani, meanwhile, wants to sketch the honor blades. Maybe it can help us locate the other ones in reality. But actually, can we get Shallan in here to do it? And that's basically where the vision ends. With Downer being like, was there nothing you could do for the heralds to, like, the voice of the Almighty? Was there nothing their god could do to prevent this? And then it's gone. And then, like I mentioned, we have a cool little picture of Vorin fashion. The sleeve going over the safe hand just seems really long. I mean, that's the point, is it's really long, but I was like, that cannot be convenient. Okay, predicaments. Let's move in. We're doing, for next time, 5 chapters. So chapters 39 through 43.
Ooh.
And those titles are, 39 is called Notes, 40 is called Questions, Peaks, and Inferences, 41 is called On the Ground Looking Up, 42 is called Consequences, and 43 is called Spearman. Spearman, not plural. Oh, and then there's actually a notebook sketch page after that has some really interesting looking stuff on it, if you guys want to look at that after you finish the chapters. But yeah, that's what's coming up for next time, 5 chapters. What do you guys think? Where are we going? We've started to see maybe the shape of where the story is moving from here. So what are your predicaments?
I mean, a lot of lore got dumped on us. I'm not entirely certain what to make of it all. So my prediction for this week involves just a tiny little note that came from the Rock chapter of his wife saying things are strange on the peaks. Like, we've surmised before that the peaks, or somewhere on the peaks, is the perpendicularity of this planet. So if something's going wrong up there, that makes me think someone or something is coming through there. Whether that could be the Ghost Bloods like coming through, Odium bringing people through. I think I've speculated before that he brought the Voidbringers from the planet called the Void. So maybe that's where how he was able to bring the power for the storm through or something. But yeah, something not right is coming through the perpendicularity, and that's affecting the Horn Eaters.
That would make sense. Yeah. I mean, all we know is vaguely something messed up is happening. So I could totally see that being it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not exactly the meatiest prediction, but it's all I've got to go on because my mind is still reeling after all the info we just got dropped on us.
Yeah. So much. So quick.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say is, like, at some point we will learn what caused, like, the Knights Radiant to abandon their vows, the thing Stormfather refuses to tell people, and someone is going to, someone is going to learn it and then not do that, and Stormfather's going to be like, wait, what the fuck?
Did not see that coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, predictions. In terms of the chapter titles, I've got no idea. There's a lot. I agree with Dak. There's a lot of information that just got dropped on us, and there's still a fair bit to process. I think the thing that and we did talk about it a bit in the chapters, but the Rock can't see Gliss, and that could be, like, maybe he's seeing one particular type of Spren. Like, is he only seeing Honor Spren, or is he seeing all Spren? I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's something up with Gliss. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I think there's something more to that story. And I think calling out that Rock couldn't see him feels weird. I'd had a thought that maybe he was, like, Gliss is actually one of the fused or something, but and maybe Rock can't see them. And somehow it could maybe make Renarin like the champion of Odium, but it doesn't add up in that, like, he could have the blade in the same way. Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't think there's enough evidence to support my theory so much, but I think there's something up there, and I don't know what that looks like yet, but that could definitely be a bit of a hiccup for everyone. Might explain why he's having so much trouble with the second ability, but again, like we discussed, everyone seems to have had problems with the second one. They kind of focus on what they can do. And yes, there's still like to practice the other stuff, but if they don't even know where to start, like, how do you start? One comes naturally to you, and the other one's like, oh, I don't really know what to do. I hope we get now, like, knowing that Shallan can soulcast and that Yasna's back, I hope we get that training session. Like, that would be really cool to see on page. But I don't know. Otherwise, where we're going.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing, more about Rock's past. I think it was nice. Everyone in Bridge 4 has got a past, so it'll be good to see more into them and their perspectives. There's obviously stuff we've got to learn from them in different ways, but yeah, there's definitely stuff going on with Rock for sure.
Yeah, something going on there. He does specifically say that he can see all Spren, so
yeah,
why he can't see this one Spren is a good question. I love this idea that we just found out that the fused, or like the Spren of these people who died a long time ago who are really pissed off. So Renarn's never mentioned his Spren being really pissed off, but we don't know much about Gliss at all. So
yeah, and I don't know. I want a Renarin perspective.
Yeah.
To then, go through there, but I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. When you spend your time looking for like a bigger thing than there really is, and you get to the end and you're like, oh, that was it. And when it's a perfectly fine narrative, it's just, I was looking for more.
Yeah, I felt like we ended up there with the Wax and Wayne books because they were so short, right? You're like, it could be this big epic, like, oh, we don't have time for that. Okay, well, never mind.
Yeah, pretty much.
These are big epic things, so there's room for something crazy to be happening. Who knows? I mean, there's lots of crazy things happening. I guess we already know that, but yeah, we shall. It would be nice to know more about Rock's past as well. We got some more details here than we ever have before, so maybe that's just the start. Maybe we'll keep going. All right. Well, let me see if we have anything else we need to do. We don't have any new patrons, and Joe's not here. I'm not worried about that. I think we have one email. Yes, we have one new email this week. So let's do that one real quick. Our new email is from Niati. The subject line is on equine casualties in fantasy. Hi again, Sanderlanche crew. On the subject of Brandon hating horses, I actually think, as far as fantasy authors go, he's one of the least egregious when it comes to awful things happening to them. Sure, the scene from the Well of Ascension where Vin quite literally cleaves a horse in half is pretty brutal, but in terms of volume and really even gore, he's kind of tame. Any fantasy that involves cavalry or horses as a primary mode of transportation usually sees them viciously injured or murdered. After all, the best way to defeat someone on horseback is to remove the horse from the equation. In one scene of a novella I was recently reading, 5 out of 16 horses end up with broken legs in a single moment from someone using magic. And let's not forget the Battle of Pelennor Fields. I don't recall the estimate of horse casualties in the book itself, but in the movie, those Oliphants took out dozens at a time with single sweep of their trunks. Which actually brings me to the bigger point, which is that warfare animals in fantasy often meet tragic ends. For example, the Oliphants in that same battle are mercilessly killed off as well. Animal deaths in general are rough, and some scenes from fantasy works have broken my heart, most often involved them. Looking at you, Robin Hobb. It's particularly tragic when there are a few of those animals to begin with, a la the Stark's direwolves in A Song of Ice and Fire. Anyway, just my 2 cents. I'm not saying Brandon doesn't hate horses. I'm just saying that it's quite possible the entire genre does. Data, see you at Dragonsteel if you're going. I was part of Wave 1, so my sister and I are lucky enough to both attend for the first time. Thanks again for the great discourse and content. And I can't wait for you all to get to the end of Oathbringer from Niati. I am going to Dragonsteel. I was also in Wave 1, got very lucky. And so, yes, see you there. We're actually... The Sanderlanche podcast is one of the sponsors this year for what is going to be, I don't know if you call it the first year of World Swappers is the thing. I participated in it last year, but this is the first year that it's kind of going to be a big organized thing. And so I thought I would mention that briefly at this point, as I think by the time this episode comes out, the backer kit will be available. But basically, it started out with people who would make little things like stickers or pins or something, and then just hand them out to people at the convention. And it became a thing that lots of people were doing. And so last year, somebody came up with like a little badge ribbon that you could put on your badge. Lots of badge ribbons at the convention to indicate that you were a world swapper and that you had something that you would trade somebody else. And so I did participate in that last year, and I had the stuff that Joe and I had handed out on previous years. So when I saw somebody else with the things, I had like our fuck spook button or the slap bracelets that we'd made for the previous time we went to the con. And so I would trade those to people, and I got a bunch of cool little things, some 3D printed stuff, some magnets, some just all sorts of cool things that people made. I mentioned stickers, but the convention center actually actively discourages those as of last year because people would get stickers and then stick them all over the convention center, and they're a pain to clean up. So they ask that people please not hand those out anywhere during the convention. But so this year, the people who kind of organized creating not just the ribbons, but like then organizing on Discord so that everyone knew who else was participating and what kind of stuff they were trading out. They organized a whole big thing this time with the backer kit is going to have tier of stuff, but the tier of stuff is going to have a pin and a coin, and if you want to go the extra mile, you can add on a bag, because there will be a bag with the World Swappers logo available that so you can carry around and show everyone very easily that you are participating and you want to trade things with other people. So but I helped them do the organizing of it this year because it was fun last year. So I'm the one who who found the bag that we're going to end up using as the bag thing. So I had a little hand in it, and I decided that it would be a good thing for the podcast to sponsor that this year with a little bit of the money that comes from our Patreon. So
very cool.
Yeah, check that out. Our name will be showing up on a couple of the promotional materials, and I think on the backer kit website also. But yeah, so check that out if you guys are interested in that. I'll try to put the link in the description when the thing is live. But since Niati mentioned the convention in her email, it seemed like a good moment to bring that up. But I know, Jamie, you haven't done a lot of fantasy reading. What do you think, Dak? Are animals just always in danger?
I mean, look, it makes sense that's a thing. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought it would just be so called out like this. Yeah, I don't know, but I have a feeling Dak will be able to shed more light on that one.
Well, yeah. See the point? Yes, horseback cavalry is absolutely the norm when it comes to fantasy because it was historically such a big thing. And I guess it's different for when it's in warfare, but so many of the horse deaths we've come across have not been in warfare. Like my mind, like the one that I always go back to, and I think the point where I'm just like I'm fucking I'm fucking done with the horse abuse in this was in Warbreaker when it was just Vivenna was working with Denth and Tong Fa, which in hindsight, knowing that they're the villains, is not at all surprising. But one of their great plans was to interrupt something that was going on, and Denth just casually walked out and smashed a horse's leg in the middle of the city, just on a random day. And I think that was the point where I'm just like, you're just doing this all the fucking time now, aren't you? So yeah, in battle scenes like Lord of the Rings and A Song of Ice and Fire do it all the time. But I guess like in battle, you're expecting people to die, and if they're riding horse into battle, well, you expect the horses are going to die. So it's sort of like, yes, it's horrific, but it sort of comes expected territory. But when it's stuff like Vin dropping out of the sky and hacking a horse in two, that wasn't at the battle. That was at the negotiations prior to the battle to see if maybe we'll stave this off. And it just, well, that was one way to conclude negotiations. Or the aforementioned Denth just smashing a horse's leg randomly. I'm just like, I feel like this is happening in non-battle scenes a lot, which makes it all the more glaring, if that makes sense.
I could see that. I'm trying to think of like other fantasy stuff I've read. I mean, Lord of the Rings, I don't even think about that as much because it is like, a lot of stuff dies. Yeah, there's some big ass battles, and I don't feel that bad for the Oliphants in the movie. I guess it's not their fault, but they are wrecking shit for sure. You kind of need to kill them off. I keep thinking of the Ranger's Apprentice series, where the horses are like so important.
Was that Robin Hobb?
No, hold on. Who writes that? They're like young adult fantasy, but I enjoy them. John Flanagan is the author of that series, but the horses are like integral, important characters in the story, get a lot of attention, and it's just like them being in danger is like as bad as any of the main characters being in danger in the story. So they're not killed off super easily in that. But that's just one series that came to mind when thinking about like, do they really kill the horses off all the time?
The weird shit keeps happening to the horses. It's not just dying in battle. There was that whole one where Vin was getting Breeze back to Luthadel in World of Ascension, and she was like racing the horses. Didn't Breeze wind up carrying a horse at one point? Like weird shit goes on with the horses beyond just they're horses. And then they carry people and they carry stuff.
Yeah.
And the methods of killing. It's like, oh, we're gonna push on their horseshoes and they all collapse. I'm like, I guess it's not really any different from caltrops, but it's just like to make it so specific and unique. It's like, well, you're gonna pay attention to that.
That's true too. Like it stands out as opposed to a giant battle where lots of like one of the major nations in the Lord of the Rings and these big battles are like the horsemen. Yes, they have a lot of horses.
Yeah, that's their whole thing.
Yeah, so it certainly doesn't stand out as individually as that. You make a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get so there may be a little bit of both in there. That it may be fantasy tropey, but I think Brandon has a special. I don't know if I'd say special level of it, but it's different in some ways, and maybe it's because like Brandon doesn't do a lot of gore and stuff. We've talked about that before as well, and she points it out in here. Like a lot of these other books,
that's true.
It gets a lot gorier, and so seeing like real bad things happen to horses, it stands out a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for the email. We love the conversation-provoking emails. Those are always fun. If anyone wants to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky and Patreon, where I'm still putting up my reactions, reading Wind and Truth for the first time. Although, just a couple of days ago, got Isles of the Emberdark, the digital edition. So I'm going to have to start reading that and recording my reaction to that in the near future. I'm excited to have a new thing to read there. That's going to be fun. So, like I said, I still don't know when I'll start releasing those, if it'll be simultaneously with this other, or if I'll wait till I'm done releasing Wind and Truth on the Patreon and then move to that. I kind of like to do it sooner than later because it's new for everyone right now. And so I feel like our listeners, it'll be fresh in their mind if they want to get involved in the Patreon. But I don't know. Is is the final word on that yet. I may not know until I'm done recording myself reading it, what feels like the right place for it. So I will keep you guys up to date, though, in case you are interested in that. But that's what's on our Patreon if you guys want to check that stuff out. But thank you to our patrons, our emailers. Thank you to everyone who just shows up every week and listens to us talk about all this stuff. It's a lot of fun. For me, at least, it's a little more nerve-wracking for some of the others, I'm sure. All of the cliffhangers that we could stop on. This week wasn't much of a cliffhanger.
Well, since you brought it up, Jamie and I had an idea for a possible Patreon thing later down the line, which is the next next standalone non-Cosmere book that comes out. One of us reads it ahead, and then we do bits with you where you have to predict what's going to happen next.
Oh, I love that. Actually, that's a great idea. There's the book that he's doing this year for Nexus that he's releasing is his non-Cosmere short story collection. There's a couple of brand new. There's at least one, maybe more than one brand new novella in there. So we could do something with that. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to put that in the idea bucket and think. I was just thinking like that's really cool. It would actually be cooler if we could all four do it and just like
do everything dry.
Yeah, Dak gets a turn hosting and doing my role, and then everybody else gets to read it for the first time. I feel like everyone would have more fun that way. But we have enough trouble getting together to record our normal with everybody. So
yeah, timing is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it might be way more doable if it was like me and one or two other people. But I love the possibilities here. Yes, we will revisit that. Maybe when this new one comes out, I'll have to see what is in there that might be worth doing. But yes, if you audience, feel free to comment or email us if you think that's a good idea, or if you have a suggestion of an upcoming thing that we should do that for, because I'm liking it already. Remember, we are doing 5 chapters for next time, 39 through 43. So if you're reading along, read those 5 chapters. This is going to be another almost as big a chunk as the one that we read this week, in terms of just amount of stuff. It's one of our longer sections of this book actually have been these 2 weeks. So, but that's what we're doing next week. Read that. Music by Miracle of Sound and Wasing to the Time of Next. Cola, P.S. Vasher. Crab at thee.
Corona's wide, supernovas die, fractured in the fateful fall of man. Feel the heart raging of a strength unseen, unity will bring the upper hand. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of